So what we're going to be going over here is actually all very much public knowledge. It's just kind of forgotten, and there might be a misconception that some of the recent updates about a Digimon game might be separate from this old Digimon game that was mentioned, but they're in fact the same. So the article on the wiki is just Untitled Digimon Story Game, and that's because information of it was first released right before Hacker's Memory was released. Habu stated they were making a game for PlayStation 4, although given how long the dev time for this game has been, it's probably not going to release on PlayStation 4 exclusively. Although this was meant to be a console game, in contrast to the fact that the other Digimon Story games, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, were handhelds. The source they have for that is through Gamatsu, and they took note of the fact that Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory is basically the best Digimon game, hands down, and they plan to work more on it. So originally they wanted to have around 4 years dev time. That was back in 2017. Sadly, we all know about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has delayed basically everything, so we should give it a little bit of extra time, much like we gave Survive extra time. We know that Habu was the director for Survive as well, so he took time off from this project to work on Survive, which I think is great. I mean, that means he's giving his full attention to whatever project he's working on and not just splitting it to pump out things as fast as they can. I mean, after all, Survive, they delayed it as much as they have. Hopefully that means they've actually got a finished product, and that's why they delayed it. Yeah, so we actually didn't have news about this game again until September 2018. So a lot of the information comes from this Gamatsu article where they talk about a game developed in between the dev time of the new Digimon Story game, which would be in the same series as Dawn Dusk or Hacker's Memory and Cyber Sleuth. So, of course, we have an initial announcement followed by Survive's announcement, it being that Survive is going to be a game to basically hold us over while they take the required development time for this bigger project. And then we, of course, know Survive's delays, largely due to COVID as well. But here we are in 2022, and on February 27th, they gave us the first piece of news that we've had on this game in 4 years. So this game that they're talking about, featuring the Olympus 12, set in the digital world, that is the same game that they've been working on since 2017. That is supposed to be a continuation of the same series as the most critically acclaimed, and let's just face it, best Digimon game ever made in Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. I guess it's 2 games, but whatever. They're kind of one game if you play on anything but PlayStation. So they haven't given us much details, just a little bit about the game itself, that the Olympus 12 are involved. It's set in the digital world. Now, I won't be too surprised if this game comes out in like 2026, but I also won't be surprised in the slightest if it's a contender against Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory for the best Digimon game ever made. And I really, really got to commend Bandai for giving the team that worked on Cyber Sleuth the chance to work for so long on, I guess, both this game and Survive. Not only did they let them say, hey, you can actually finish developing Survive before you release it. We know that we've delayed this game like 3 years, but we're going to let you guys keep doing it. Supposedly, that's what's happening. But also, you can work on this game from 2017 to 2022 and possibly beyond. To me, that says this is going to be something they put a lot of effort into. And I really think that effort's going to show, considering the success this team has had in the past. I think Survive might be a decent indicator to show how well this team's doing, especially during COVID. I mean, I can only say from looking at it that the game looks solid. The only hope I have personally is that the game is not filled with like 20 hours of anime cutscenes. I just want to play a game, goddammit. But such are games from Japan these days. Whether you like Survive or not, keep this game in mind. And maybe check back to this wiki page. Maybe it'll get updated or something. It's you can find it easily by going to the series Digimon Story. And of course, you got your Dawn Dusk, your Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, and then your Untitled Digimon Story game. This might be a decent place to find updates as they come along, because after all, with this big gap of time here, it'd be pretty reasonable for you to have forgotten that this was even a game in the first place and just thought that this was a whole new game altogether. But no, these are actually just one game. So I'd say keep an eye out for this game coming up, because I really think this is going to be the one that could contend the best game we have. And what we have is already a game that's fantastic. And I mean, if they're going to put this much time in developing a new game in the same series, inspired by the success of that game there, Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, then what we get really could be something monumental.